It is morning of the last leg on our Amtrak trip back to the Midwest. And as I got my act together and prepared for breakfast, the train was pulling into a busy city called Trinidad, Colorado. A small town, but it has an overhead highway, and this is a genuine trading center, a center of activity for this part of far southeastern Colorado. After you leave Trinidad, you head out through some more great scenery. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. It is the scenery you see on the train that you miss on the highway, like this, the sign for the Raton Tunnel between Colorado and New Mexico. You see, there is a ridge that runs through this part of the world. There it is. And on the north side, Colorado, and to the south, New Mexico. The Amtrak train comes in from the north and heads into the Raton Tunnel. On the south side, it exits and heads for the train station. On the right, the interstate was simply cut through the ridge, so there is no tunnel for the interstate highway running down this same path. But once you pass that sign, there's a marker. You have to look quickly, the dividing line between Colorado and New Mexico. And if you get a good look at it, the next thing, you can't see anything because you're in the Raton Tunnel. You can see a little bit, your eyes adjust a couple of minutes later, and you're on the New Mexico side, and you're in the city of Raton. This is a beautifully restored train station here. There are a lot of buses that leave Raton and go to other parts of the Southwest. It is a great connecting point for Amtrak. Now you're in Las Vegas, but don't get out your quarters. This is Las Vegas, New Mexico, not Las Vegas, Nevada. Back on the road again, past the little siding marker, and you know there are a lot of cities in the Southwest named just for the railroad markers. Finally, we're in Lamy, New Mexico, a train station that looks as if you've stepped back into the 1930s. Everything's so well preserved. Then a side trip to Santa Fe, one of America's great cities. So old that while they had all kinds of good stuff here, we were still working on the Declaration of Independence on the East Coast. A rental car and back out on the highway to another place lost in time. Down a bumpy road to a little city called Glorieta, New Mexico. You see, one of the ladies I do breakfast with every morning grew up here 90 years ago. And when she heard I was coming to that area, she wanted me to stop by. It's a city with not much left. The railroad goes through here, and by golly, there's a post office. It's even open on Saturday. Then finally back to Lamy for more of the trip west to wrap up our trip to Indiana and other points east. The scenery changes slowly as you go through this part of the world, and this is again an area that you don't see very much if you drive, for you go through nowhere and the backside of cities where America lives. It gives you time to think. In Albuquerque, there's a long stopover, and you can get out and buy all kinds of trinkets. But I wasn't interested in trinkets. I wanted supper in the dining car. And as I began to eat, as we headed west, it got darker and darker, the sun hitting the red hills in the distance, and as I was finishing my dessert, nighttime began to fall in the western U.S. And so I snuggled down for another sleep aboard Amtrak, knowing that tomorrow I'd be home. It was another great trip. A few flaws, but you expect that on every vacation. So see you next time as we go somewhere else. I'm Dennis Daly.